Torah portion is the portion of Yisro, the portion where Jethro converts to Judaism. And it's a very interesting story about Jethro. We spoke about it yesterday. And one of the things that Yisro says is Baruch Hashem. You know, someone asks you how you're doing. So we say Baruch Hashem. So it says that it's a embarrassment for Moshe and the 600,000 Jews that they didn't say Baruch until Yisro came and said Baruch Hashem. Until Yisro came. Now, what does it mean when the Gemara says it's a Ganai? It not necessarily does it mean that it was wrong of us. It means it looks bad. It looks bad that the Jewish people didn't say Baruch Hashem until Yisro came, and Yisro came and said Baruch Hashem.
You mean it looks poorly on us?
Right, it looks poorly
on us.
Okay. The question is, what did the Jewish people thank Hashem at all? Do we know of any case the Jewish people left Egypt? Did they do any thanks to Hashem? The Gemara seems like it's saying they didn't. But I think we all know of a case where they did say thank you, Hashem. Yehuda.
Miriam's song.
Oz Yashir Moshe B'nai Yisrael, the whole Jewish people song. They all said thanks to Hashem. They might not have used the word Baruch, but they gave thanks to Hashem. They gave great thanks. Oz Yashir Moshe. It's a very beautiful song. We say it every day in the davening. So what does the Gemara really mean when it says that it looks negative about the Jewish people, that the Moshe and the 600,000 Yidden didn't say Baruch until Yisro came and he said Baruch Hashem? It would seem that the Moshe and the Jewish people, they did say Baruch Hashem. They said the Oz Yashir. They said the song, and as Yehuda says, also Miriam and the women sang a shira to Hashem. So what does the Gemara mean? That Yisro is the first one to give thanks to Hashem. Now the truth is, we know that Yehuda's mother, Hapam Oide Es Hashem, she was constantly thanking Hashem, and she named her son Yehuda, which shows that there were people who thanked Hashem before. But here we're talking about as the Jewish people are a nation in Egypt and left Egypt. They didn't thank Hashem until Yisro came, and he said this great sentence of Baruch Hashem Asher Hitzel Eschem, blessed is Hashem that he saved you. So the question really is, why are we not looking at the Shira, the song that we sang at the sea? Why is that not counted as one of the important thanks to Hashem that the Jewish people did as a nation? Now, the next question is based on the Zohar. The Zohar says something very, very radical. It says that until Yisro came and thanked Hashem, the Torah was not given to the Jewish people, which implies that when Yisro came and he said, Baruch Hashem, and now I know that Hashem is greater than all the other gods, he did something, he accomplished something that caused Hashem to be able to give the Torah to the Jewish people. So it sounds like Hashem couldn't have given us the Torah before Yisro came. Quite a statement from the Zohar. Now, the Zohar explains itself a little. The Zohar says that through Yisro saying that Hashem is greater than all the other gods, it accomplished that Hashem spread out with his glory above and below, and afterwards he gave the Torah in its completeness. That's the words of the Zohar. So the Zohar seems to say pretty clearly that only after Yisro became Jewish, or after Yisro acknowledged Hashem as greater than all other gods, only then did Hashem give the Torah. So somehow what we're seeing is that Yisro was needed.
Yes.
We needed Yisro in order to have Matan Torah. And that's also very surprising. Yes, Yehuda. We can't hear you. You got to press it again.
Did he say Baruch Hashem before or after he was converted?
That's a good question. I think it was before. Let's take a look in the Chumash if there's any hint. Let me see if I have a Chumash here.
Yeah, the Chumash, this is 5 books.
Yeah.
So we have the
I gotta see the Chumash, Mitchell.
the portion begins.
see the
Yisro heard everything that Hashem did.
Give it to me. I gotta see the Chumash. There's something here. I'm very.
And
Father.
so in verse 10, it says, Yisro said, blessed is Hashem that he saved you from Mitzrayim, Egypt, and Pharaoh. He saved the nation. Now I know that Hashem is great. And Yisro brought sacrifices, and then he saw what Moshe was doing. So in truth, I don't know. It doesn't say clearly when he converted. But it doesn't say clearly, but what would it make a difference? Let's say he converted before, so what would that be better?
Yeah, because that would be even more embarrassment if he wasn't even Jewish. And he said Baruch Hashem.
So it's better if he converted before.
Right.
Okay. All right. It sounds good. I like that. Okay. I'll try to look in the Medrash. It's hard to figure out from the Chumash itself what exact verse is where he converted. But maybe and if I look in the Medrash, maybe I'll find it. Okay. Good. Interesting thought. Okay. Yes, Ben? Ben?
I wanted to say that the translation of Baruch Hashem is blessed be God.
Yeah.
It's not, the other ones are acceptable translations of the meaning of what he meant. But the direct translation of the words is blessed be God. Maybe he was used to saying it about the other gods when he believed in them. The Jews were using, singing or dancing or whatever, being happy, but they didn't use this particular word. Maybe because the other nations used that word. I don't know.
Well, the point that you're making works very good if you want to explain that the Gemara means specifically the word Baruch, that only Yisro used this word and the Jewish people did other things, but they didn't use the word Baruch. They used Shira, they sang, they did other things. But the simple meaning, but the simple meaning of the Gemara is not.
They were thanking God, but they didn't say, "Blessed be God."
I understand that's what you're saying, but
they were thanking God in other words.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but the simple reading of the Gemara, if you try to understand it, it would seem that the Gemara is not saying specifically the word Baruch. It's just saying in general that he said thanks first, and the Jewish people still haven't really thanked Hashem. That's the simple reading, But if you want to say it specifically means the word Baruch, then you've got a point. They did thank Hashem, but they didn't say the word Baruch. But it doesn't. But why would the Gemara say that? It's almost like if your children come to visit, and one of them complimented your the house, and everyone else complimented how good you look, and you make a big deal. Oh, look at this word, or one of them used this word and didn't use that word when they complimented how good you look, and say, oh, this one said the word Baruch, and the other one didn't say that word. Like, who cares? They both complimented you. They all why would you make a big deal if they used the word Baruch and they didn't?
Well,
it doesn't.
But
it seems that it's talking about the general idea.
Saying Hodeh.
They could have used another word. Like why?
They did the same thing with Leah and saying, "Oh, she was the first one to say Hodeh."
Right.
Okay, but they also used other words, not Hodeh. So it's the same thing here.
Now you're bringing up a Gemara that I don't remember if the emphasis was specifically that word. Was that the emphasis in that Gemara? I have to look it up again. It's my mind is already here. Let's take a fast look. That Gemara was right
Rabbi?
here. Just 1 second. We got to look one thing up over here. I think
maybe I can help. I'm looking at line 9 of the Parsha.
Yeah.
And to me, that reads to me that he said that and then was converted. He said, yet Yisro rejoiced over the good that Hashem has done for Israel, that he had rescued us from Egypt. Yisro said, blessed is Hashem. And then it goes on to say, then they had the feast and the rejoicing. So it seems to me that he declared Hashem the greatest of all gods. And then that essentially was his conversion. So then they had the feast. So I read that as he blessed God as the greatest and that then converted.
It sounds good. I'm happy to go along with it, but I don't know if it's 100% of proof. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can prove it. It sounds good. It sounds nice. But do you have a proof?
Well, okay. I think it's a clear inference. I'm not concerned.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure what constitutes proof anymore.
Well, I think what you're saying is based on the fact that the meal normally comes after the ceremony. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
If there was a meal, it must have been after the ceremony.
In Judaism, a ceremony, a celebratory event includes a meal.
Right. So it had to come at the same. Right. It had to come first. First the ceremony and then the food. But the food might have been more of a smorgasbord that comes before the actual ceremony. All right. Well, whatever it is. It sounds good. It sounds good. Listen, I'm not disagreeing. It definitely could be. I just don't know if it's a good enough proof. It sounds good. Now, the Gemara that you brought, Ben, is the Gemara in Brachos on page 7. And it says, from the day that Hashem created the world, no one thanked Hashem until Leah came and thanked him. And it says, Hapam oide es Hashem. So the way you're quoting it is, of course, people thanked Hashem before, they just didn't use the word oide. And
Or Baruch.
And so you're saying based on that, maybe here also. Now, so the commentaries here seem to say a little different. They say that Leah was the first to realize that Hashem gave her something more than could be expected. So it's not that she just used the word haidah. It has to do with the fact that she was thanking Hashem for receiving more than she really deserved. So it's not about the word haidah specifically. It's about the idea, the concept. So here, we're mentioning this, that it does say he said Baruch, and no one else seemed to say Baruch. But do you take that literally? If you could learn it that way, and then maybe that would be the answer. Or maybe there's another way to learn it. And for some reason, the Shira, the song at the sea, was not considered enough of a blessing of thanks, praise to Hashem. So anyway, you could learn it that way. I'm not disagreeing. It just doesn't logically. It seems like it should be not just a literal word. Yes, sir, Robert.
I don't know if this is of some relevance, but I'm looking at a JPS notation, and line 10, I think for the first time I read, says, "Blessed be the Lord," Jethro said, "who delivered you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh, and who delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians." So that what I see is the first quote of Jethro saying that, and he says it, not us, but you. So it may be the preamble to his thinking to convert. All right, so he has this. Okay, so again, it's in the JPS Torah document, but that's where the first note I see where he says again, "Blessed be the Lord, Baruch Hashem," and that's line 10 in this JPS Tanakh.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. The only thing is, what you're saying is because he uses the word "you" and not "us."
Correct. So he's not part of the tribe yet.
But I don't know if that's a proof either, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because he did not get taken out of Egypt. He's talking about, blessed is Hashem who took you out of Egypt.
Right.
Not took you and not me, and I'm not part of you, but took you out of Egypt and not me out of Egypt, but I'm Jewish with you. But I wasn't taken out of Egypt.
He's making the transition. And it's a declarative statement. It's you, right? It's his son-in-law and his daughter and the people of Israel.
His grandchildren.
Yeah, the whole mishpucha. So, that's a precedent. It's a declaration, it's admiration.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just. I
know.
I'm just not 100% sure you can prove it from there, because it's like saying that. Let me give you an example.
Right, and when they did the American Proclamation of Independence, they say "we the people." Okay, it didn't say "you the people," but "we the people." But Jethro here says "brought you" and not us. So again, of course, it's all arbitrary, but clearly he's approaching being a member of the tribe, okay? And so that's a declaratory because he's already has his children, his grandchildren, his daughter, his grandchildren, part of the family. And he's whatever way he's declaring himself, he's moving towards a different position.
I see, but again, it's a thought. Yeah. It's a thought. It's not 100% proof. Yeah. It's a good thought, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It's definitely an option. Yes, Ben.
Yeah, it's good that I found it. So anyway,
I wanted to say one more comparison.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that apparently the Nevi'im of the Goyim were very literal and good with language, because Balak also was admired for what he said about the Jews. And here is Yisro also admiring God and the Jews,
That's an interesting point.
because they apparently are good with language.
Yes, right.
Rabbi, looking at the commentary and the Art Scroll Chumash.
Now you're going to get me. I see already. Boy, you guys are really trying hard.
It's good. It's good. You're a good teacher.
Okay.
You're a good teacher.
Verses 9 through 12.
Yes.
He says, Jethro rejoices, and he goes in, although Jethro was not a Jew, this is the commentary. Jethro was not a Jew, and although
I knew it.
Once been advisor to Pharaoh. So at that point, he's not a Jew. And then he says, according to Rabbi, however, the allusion suggests that despite the happiness for Jews, he felt prickles of unease over what happened to the Egyptians. So he's still not a Jew. And the commentary for 11, he says, now I know, Jethro exclaimed that he had experimented with every manner of idolatry, but now he was thoroughly convinced that Hashem is superior to them all. For as he continued, and that's when he said, blessed to be Hashem. And he goes on, it was after that they had the celebration. So again, back to the original premise, he said that before he converted, before the conversion.
Okay. And where did you see this? In the Art Scroll? Which Art Scroll?
The stone edition.
The stone.
Stone edition of the Chumash.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So it sounds like we got a little proof here then. They probably have a good source. I didn't see it inside. It sounds like, and you sound like you were reading straight from it. So it sounds pretty good. So that might be a good source. Let's we'll take a look at it. It definitely is possible. Yeah. So now the question that Yehuda was asking is more a little surprising, that what the Zohar says, that until Jethro, who was not Jewish, he just said this line, and that we couldn't have the Torah until Jethro said this line. That's quite a statement of the Zohar. He wasn't even Jewish, and he said this line, and now all of a sudden Hashem can give us the Torah. It is quite it adds to the wonder of this statement. That's great. I'm so happy we worked on getting this proof. So thank you, Thomas, for getting the home run. You got to
thank you.
Hit.
He's
Okay.
the home run man in my book.
Yes.
Maybe I should say you're welcome.
So, okay, great. So now, let's just summarize what we've said until now. We got a little sidetracked. So we've got the Gemara that said that Jethro is the first one to say Baruch Hashem, that thanked Hashem, and it's a gnai. It's some type of a degrading. It shows a negative point to Moshe and the Jewish people that Yisro is the one who's the first one to say Baruch Hashem and thanks Hashem for what he did to save the Jewish people. Now, and the question on that was, what about the Shira that we thanked Hashem for by Kriyas Yamsuf, when the sea split? We all thanked Hashem very much. And then the other point was that the Zohar says that we could not get the Torah until Yisro acknowledges and says that Hashem is, blessed is Hashem, that he saved the Jewish people from Egypt. And now I know that Hashem is greater than all the other gods. So, and that caused some type of a glory of Hashem to spread in the higher worlds and the lower worlds. And then Hashem was able to give the Torah, the complete Torah. So we see that it had to be from Yisro did something major by saying this Baruch Hashem. And according to what Yehuda added in, and together with Thomas, we see that it was even a guy. Yisro was a guy, and he even before he converted, he mentioned this idea, and we needed that before we could get the Torah.
Rabbi.
So that's what's surprising.
Just another observation.
Yeah.
Yisro was part of the three main advisors to Parai.
Right.
Who's the other one? Bilam. And Bilam, we use his brachas of the Jews as a central part of our davening. it had to come from Bilam the Goy, that his blessing, how goodly, Matahu Alecha. It's interesting that so it had to come from Yisro's compatriot in his advisor to the Parai, that he was the one that said Matobu.
Very interesting.
And why would the Torah dafka from such a goy this blessing?
Right. Very interesting. Very interesting. David just mentioned that there's a prayer, part of the Torah that we make that we have part of the Siddur in the beginning, where we repeat something that Bilam had said, also who was not Jewish, and we make a big deal. It's recited every single day in the davening. And yet it was recited, it was said by a non-Jew. So yes, very apropos to mention that here. Yes, Robert.
Yes, part of the longer I be getting to study and try to understand the different pieces, I want to go back to when we did Bashalach, and we read the article or the piece by Rabbi Sack. The title was Looking Up, because when the Israelites finally made it through the Red Sea, and he went up to the hill and raised his staff in his hands, and everyone then looks up because you're looking up to Hashem. So there's a like a timeline of the Jewish people, the Hebrews, maturing, or those little kernels of what happened to finally getting the 10 Commandments, and then finally getting the Torah, and then finally having Jethro say, Baruch Hashem. So what I'm trying to figure out is it was an incremental maturing of the Jewish people. And first to recognize and then to understand. Again, the raising of the staff and the raising of the hands, again, looking up is very different from, as we say, looking down to the subterranean. So to me, it appears to be some incremental maturing of the Jewish people.
Right. It's like a path we're taking.
Exactly.
We're developing. We're becoming a nation. We may not be
conscious of that.
Right.
The longer you study, the more you see what's hidden and try to understand the whole process that we've been involved in for millennia.
Right. That's right. Very good. Very interesting. Very good point. And you're right. If only we could work on that and see it and develop a final analysis of it. But yes, good thing to think of. What Robert is saying, we should really try to figure out what the deeper meaning behind each of these stages are, because we're developing
our ability to be able to do it, or why were we given that ability of being the first and continuing monotheist people in the world, being the chosen people, and what is the basis for that? Looking backward.
Okay, so now let me continue the idea, the points that we made. All have to do with Yisro being, accomplishing something major. So let's look into Yisro's life. Who is Yisro? Yisro is called the Kohen Midyan. Now, the Kohen Midyan, we translate. There are two ways of translating the Kohen Midyan, because you have to think about this. The Torah doesn't like to embarrass people. One of the worst sins in the Torah is to embarrass someone. It's a terrible, terrible sin. And the worst is embarrassing someone in public. And it's a person should throw themselves into the furnace rather than embarrass someone. And therefore, it is surprising that the Torah would say, you know who Yisro is? He's the Kohen Midyan. It's like you're telling you're speaking about a person who did tshuva, and you say, I want to tell you who the guy used to be. He murdered, and he helped people, he did holdups, and he robbed the banks, and he did. You don't say that about, it's not appropriate to mention that part. Just say he's the father-in-law of Moshe. Someone, let's not overdo it. We don't want to, make a big deal. Okay, he converted, wasn't Jewish, he converted, wonderful. But to say that he's the Kohen, a priest of Midyan. So one explanation is that it doesn't mean such a negative thing. It means he was a prince of Midyan. That means he was one of the dignitaries there. So it's not a negative. It's not saying, A negative is saying positive, that he had all the honors in Midian. He was a prince. He lived a very wealthy life. And guess where he went? He went to the desert to hang out with these people that haven't changed their clothing in a month and a few months. They haven't taken showers, and he's going to hang out. I mean, obviously the clouds clean them, but this was not a 5-star hotel. It was, in a spiritual sense, it was much better than a 5-star hotel. But if you think about it, he was going to the desert. Who wants to go to the desert, to hang out in the desert with the Jewish people? So this is this is not like going to Vegas or a nice vacation to the
Palm Springs,
or the mountain skiing resorts. He left. He was a prince of Midian, and he went to the Jewish people. So that's saying something very nice. It's not degrading. Now, there is another explanation that it means he was the Kohen Midian, the priest of Avodah Zarah, that he worshipped all the idols. Now, that sounds a little, he was a priest to these idols. That sounds a little negative, very negative, very surprising that the Torah would emphasize that. And the answer is that obviously there's something positive that we're saying and not negative. But what is that? That is that he was a person who understood the hidden meaning of all idol worship. You see, we are taught that all idol worship is nonsense. And it is nonsense. But there is a source why people would worship idols in logic. There is meaning behind it. And I'll give you an example. There is a concept of wishing someone good luck, mazel tov, good mazel. Now, what does that really mean? That there are mazolos, there are constellations in heaven that Hashem uses, or even the sun and the moon and the stars. Hashem uses them to direct certain energy and blessings to the world. So when people worship the sun, or people worship certain stars, the Rambam writes that the mistake that the people made was it's not that Hashem doesn't have emissaries in heaven to give us blessings. Hashem does have emissaries in heaven that give us blessings, that he directs his blessings through. But the mistake was that they think that those emissaries in heaven have their own power and can do as they like. And that's wrong. They are like a hammer that the chopper, they're like a hatchet that the chopper uses to chop wood. The hatchet has no mind of its own, but it is the hatchet that the wood gets chopped through. It's not the person who uses the hatchet. The hatchet is what actually chops the wood. And the same thing is the stars in heaven, that Hashem uses them, that the blessings that we have in the world go through all of these different levels. And in this world, it's the stars, the heavenly things, and that's how we get everything that we have. It goes through these different intermediaries, even though they have no power of their own. It's all coming from Hashem. They have no power of their own, but it does go through these intermediaries. Now, that gave room for people to mistakenly think they should worship them. So this is what the Rambam writes. Now, I should mention that it doesn't stop there. There's above the stars, there's another level of beneficence that comes to this world, to the stars. And even on that level, there are different, emissaries, intermediaries that Hashem uses.
That's what I'm wondering.
It goes through these different levels. And this is something that the Rambam writes. You can look it up. And
can he hear you, Rabbi?
Yes.
The question was raised, if these other eminences that are higher, is this how we are to understand what are the Sfirot, through which heavenly energy is directed down to the world of Asya?
So this is the different emissaries that Hashem uses, besides the Spheroids that are just the different energy, but these are more emissaries that Hashem uses. Now, I'm not a big Kabbalist, so I don't know the exact details of these, of how it exactly looks in heaven, and how the energy goes through these different things. But that is exactly what Yisro was a great professor at. He knew all these details. He knew everything about all these idols and the sources of them. And so when we say people worshiped idols, they understood the origin of it. But what was unique about Yisro was that he knew the origin of all of them. He knew everything in the heavens, and the astronomy and the astrology. He understood the ways of the heavens and above the heavens, and he was able to connect and see why people were worshiping each of these idols. That's what it means. He was a Kohen Midyan. He was a brilliant man. So on the one hand, he was a very respected man, as being he was a prince, and at the same time he was also a priest to Avodah Zarah, but not in a sense that he worshipped it, in a sense that he knew it inside out. He was a huge intellectual and a man of great brilliance and of understanding of all of these details. And this is what was so unique, that even though he recognized all these intermediaries of Hashem, meaning he understood them, but yet he came to admit that it's all nonsense, because it's all like a hatchet in the hand of the woodchopper. And that is the meaning where he says, Gadol Hashem mikol ha'elokim, Hashem is great over all the other gods, and none of them have any meaning at all, because they are useless. They don't have their own power. Yes, Gloria.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a problem with criticizing the way that other people worship. If somebody else wants to worship an idol, as long as they're not hurting me and they're not a criminal or something, what do I care? How dare I say, oh, they're worshiping foolishness, they're wrong. And probably someplace on the planet right this minute, there's somebody saying, oh, the way the Jews worship is wrong. I mean, why can't we be more tolerant of each other? What do I care if they worship an idol? I can't criticize another human being's choice. It's not my choice, but I don't care. I'm not going to criticize them or call them names. That's like Lashon Hora, to say they're foolish.
So the thing is that those that worshipped idols ultimately led to them not worshiping Hashem at all. So it wasn't just that they worshiped these intermediaries. Then the next stage was that they believed only in the intermediaries and didn't believe in Hashem. Mm-hmm. And so what came out of that was that they were not ethical. They weren't good people. They were evil people because they worshipped idols. It led to terrible, terrible things. And so
Jews have done terrible things.
What?
Sometimes there are Jews who do terrible things.
Right, and we got to stop that. We have to encourage them to stop. We don't want any evil in the face of the earth. We would like to remove all the evil from the face of the earth. That's what we would like to be. Masakin Tikkun Olam is fixing the world, making the world a better place, a perfect place, a place for Hashem to dwell in a revealed way. We also don't want people desecrating Hashem's name. And so the idea of idol worship is considered a major part of Yiddishkeit that we can't that we have to get rid of. We weren't even allowed to let anyone worshiping idols in Eretz Yisrael. We wanted to destroy all the idols, and so it's not as it sounds good to live and let live, but it actually, if you let them live, they will end up destroying you because they have no conscience. They think that you could do.
Not nice to say that non-Jews have no conscience.
No. I'm talking about idol worshipers, Gloria. I'm not talking about non-Jews now. We're talking about the people.
Some people call Catholics idol worshipers.
I'm not talking about non-Jews. Again, Gloria, I'm not talking about non-Jews. I'm talking about the idol worshipers that we read about in the Tanakh. The idol worshipers, they're all, the idea was that they did not fear a higher authority. And that was a terrible, terrible thing. So that, I think that, sheds a little light. Okay. We don't have that much time. Ben,
I just want to ask one thing. Were the emissaries angels like Raphael, Uriel, were these considered emissaries or no?
No.
That's a separate thing.
Yeah, yes, Ben.
I wanted to say it's interesting that Yisro was a Cohen of Midian, and his grandchildren were Cohens by us, to Aaron. We hear it from the story of Pinchas.
Right, okay. Very nice.
That Yitro was his grandfather.
Yeah. Phyllis, I just want to mention, when I say that they're not considered emissaries, I don't mean that they're not emissaries, but what I was referring to, the initial point that in this world we have the stars, the moon, they're not what I was referring to, the stars and so on, but there are a level of angels that are part of this hierarchy of emissaries. So they are, maybe I should have answered yes, they are. I was more talking about on a level that we know of idol worship. They worship the stars and the moon and the sun and so on. But like really, there's levels of angels as well. Angels as well. They would worship certain angels to the extent that there was a concept of worshiping angels that was a major issue. That even there were some rabbis that said, certain prayers we have to be careful from. Like, for example, Shalom Aleichem. When we invite the angels in on Friday night, there were rabbis that questioned that tradition of reciting "Bless us." We ask the angels to bless us, or there were rabbis that questioned that. How can you do that? They're angels. But it became a tradition. Became a part of the tradition. But the idea that angels, right? These are all part of that hierarchy of emissaries from Hashem that have no power of their own. They're totally subject to Hashem in his power. So
the angels are like automatons to Hashem.
I didn't hear what you said. The angels are what?
The angels are like automatons to Hashem. They have a blueprint and they do what function they're given by Hashem to do.
Without any free choice, right? Without free choice, yes. Okay, so what comes out is that there is a verse that says that I saw that there is a greatness to chachma, wisdom, over foolishness. And what does this verse mean? It's a verse in Ecclesiastes that I saw that there's that wisdom is greater than foolishness. Of course, the wisdom is greater than foolishness. But what it really means on a deeper level is that I saw that there is wisdom that comes, that's greater, that it's that there's a greatness to wisdom that comes from foolishness. What does that mean? That it's talking about Yisro, that the knowledge, the chokhmah that he got through his understanding of where all of the emissaries are, all of the angels are sourced, and he was able to see that Hashem is on top of all of them and all of them have no power of their own. He saw that was great wisdom, that the wisdom that came from all of that knowledge, after knowing all of that knowledge, and he got this great wisdom of realizing what the source of how everything in the world comes, and he was able to see everything, to see the whole picture. And so that is what King Solomon says. I see that there's a greatness to wisdom over foolishness. And not to say that the what the goyim have is foolish, but that it's relative to the way they see it, it's foolishness. In other words, it leads them to worship it. So it has a certain, it's foolishness, but it's not that it's wrong. There's a meaning to it. They just take it they give it power in its own right. They give it as if it's an entity of its own. It's almost like if you got a phone call that you didn't like, they told you, guess what? Hello, you're fired, right? So you got this phone call and they told you you're fired. So what do? Take the phone and smash it, because the phone was the one who told you that you're fired. So take the phone, smash it, take the pieces and burn them and get rid of that phone. Now, that had no power of its own. The phone didn't do anything to you. The person who fired you might want to be angry at. Don't advise you to do it to take revenge, but the phone did nothing to you. But that's what they worship. They worship the telephone. They worship the sword, the source where they saw it coming from. But they didn't go deeper. And that's what Yisro was able to understand when he came to Yiddishkeit. He saw the greatness, and that's what he acknowledged. When he said, Baruch Hashem, blessed is Hashem, he was acknowledging that Hashem is greater over all of this. And through that, he was able to, we were able to have the revelation, the giving of the Torah. Now, what is the connection? Why did that help the giving of the Torah? So the reason why it helped the giving of the Torah is because the point of Yisro was that he connected the lowest levels of idol worship to Hashem. Because what he did was he revealed the source of them. He made the world now clear that the whole world is from Hashem. He revealed something that normally is concealed. This is such a great concept. The world is so concealed. You had idol worship that is the essence of epitome of concealment. And what he just did was he just turned on the flashlight. He revealed its essence. He revealed, where does it all come from? Where does the idol worship come from? He changed the entire view of the way we saw things, and he just blew godliness right through them. So he connected the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. And that's the idea of the revelation at Sinai. That the revelation at Sinai was connecting Hashem with this world. It was a merging where now holiness can merge with the physical world. That's really what Jethro did. He connected the lowest of the low, meaning idol worship. He connected it and revealed what its true source is. And that was the greatness, and that was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. So what this means is that when you prepare for the giving of the Torah, you have to prepare in a way that you're doing something that's similar to the revelation. Every revelation that we have, we always prepare for it in some way that's similar. What is the revelation at Sinai? The revelation at Sinai is that the heavens were now going to be able to come down to earth, and earth is going to elevate to heavens, meaning God will come down to earth. The earth will be elevated and refined. That what happened with Yisro? He was able to reach a level he was elevating a level that was much greater than anyone else could elevate, because he was able to reach all the way down to the lowest of the low, and refine it and elevate it and connect it to holiness. And this was the preparation of the giving of the Torah. And now, as much as we did, and when we sang the Shira, when we sang the praise at the Kriyas Yamsuf, the splitting of the sea. Now, if you think about the splitting of the sea, we also there talk about a great revelation, because the spiritual meaning behind the splitting of the sea was that the hidden became revealed. when the sea split, you have the earth and you have the sea. And the sea splitting means there's the revealed world, that's earth symbolizes, and the sea symbolizes the hidden worlds. And when the sea split, it was uniting the revealed worlds with the hidden worlds, because the sea, the hidden worlds, in other words, normally we don't know what's below the sea. It's not visible to the naked eye. And the world, the outside world, is visible. So what we united, what we did was we connected the hidden worlds with the spiritual worlds, the hidden world, spiritual, with the physical world. We united them. That was also a preparation for the revelation at Sinai, because we were uniting. So why was what Jethro did better than what we did, than what Hashem did at Mount Sinai, at the splitting of the sea? And we also sang Shira. We thanked Hashem for that. So we made a big deal about the splitting of the sea, and it had an effect. We know that it caused all the nations to become nervous. The Moigu called Yoshvei Canaan. All the people of Canaan, they melted. They got afraid. They became nervous. So why was that not good enough? It also was a merging of the spiritual with the physical. And the answer is yes, it was a merging of the spiritual and the physical. And it was a preparation for Mount Sinai, the giving of the Torah, but it wasn't the same merge as the merge between idols, the idol worship, and Hashem. That was connecting, revealing, refining, elevating the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. The splitting of the sea was connecting within holiness. We connected the revealed world with the hidden worlds. That's within holiness. But what about taking the lowest levels of impurity and connecting them, merging them with holiness? That was what Jethro did. And that was a real revelation. That was a real preparation for the revelation at Sinai. And that was a great accomplishment. And that we needed to have in order to have the revelation at Sinai. And so until Yisro came and he said, "Great is Hashem from all gods," we didn't really prepare ourselves enough for the giving of the Torah. Now, there is a deeper meaning in the beginning of the Torah. Now that we've said this, now we can find something deeper that's a little below the surface of understanding. It's a deeper level of understanding. When the Torah says, Rashi brings that, why did Yisro come? What caused Yisro to come, to become Jewish? Mashmua shama uvo. What did he hear that made him come to Moses, his son-in-law, and become Jewish? So it says that he heard about the Kriyas Yamsuf, he heard about the splitting of the sea, and the Milchemes Amalek, the war with Amalek. Now, why did the Amalek fight with us? The sea split. God made a great miracle. What caused Amalek to fight with us? Amalek fought with us because whatever we accomplished at the revelation, at the splitting of the sea, was not enough. It brought fear to the nations, but it didn't change them. It didn't internalize. It was fear. It sort of broke them. It caused a lot of the Egyptians to die. Egyptians died, but it didn't make a change. It wasn't a refinement in the way people thought. It was a shock. It was a shock treatment. People saw the sea split. They were shocked. They were nervous. But it didn't really have a internal effect to say, we want to become Jewish. So what Jethro saw was, yes, you did a splitting of the sea. Yes, you accomplished something. You broke Egypt. You did that. But you didn't refine Egypt. You didn't do the full accomplishment of what life is all about. It's to bring a change, to make a change in the people, to internalize, permeate the person,
internalize it, yes,
and not just
internalize
not just get the fear, not just be shooken up, but it's about internalizing it. And that's what Jethro saw. Oh, you didn't accomplish everything. You had the splitting of the sea. I saw that. But I also saw you had a war with Amalek afterwards. That means a nation came to fight you afterwards. That means that the world wasn't fully affected. That means they were willing to start a fight. I got to come now. I have the depth of idol worship. When I convert, what I'm doing is revealing all about idol worship, because I'm the greatest professor, the Harvard professor about comparative religions, and I am going to be the one who's going to say what's right. And I'm going to tell everyone, I'm going to announce that this is all nonsense. And Judaism is the correct religion. So by him doing that, what he did was he revealed the essence of what all the idol worship is all about. And he brought a certain refinement to make a change, at least the ability in the world to make this change, because he himself made the change. And that was a huge accomplishment, that he himself made this acknowledgement, and he said, Baruch Hashem. And that's really the meaning of the word Baruch. Baruch, he says, why? He was the first one to say Baruch. Baruch means in addition to the simple meaning of blessing, but it means to draw down. He was able to draw down holiness and connect it with the lowest level. That was what was unique about Jethro. And therefore, he's the first one to really accomplish this. And so the message for us is that our job here on earth is not just to stay holy when we study Torah, but it's to take the Torah that we study and to live with it, bring it with us wherever we go. It should be internalized. B'chol drachecha do'ehu. We're supposed to think about Hashem in all of our ways when we're eating, sleeping, driving, schmoozing with friends, playing golf, playing cards. We're supposed to think about Hashem and reveal Hashem in everything that we do. And that's really the accomplishment of what Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, is all about. It's not just about studying Torah once an hour a day or 2 hours a day. It's about taking that Torah and living with it, because you think about the essay you're going to write, or you're thinking about a good question that was brought up, and you come up with an answer, you come up with another question. However, we're trying to study Hashem's Torah, because this is the greatest wisdom and the greatest gift that Hashem has given us, that he allows us to connect with him. We are connecting with Hashem every time we learn Torah, and every thought of ours in Torah is a way of connecting to Hashem, to be able to connect to the King. It's like we're getting a phone call every day from the greatest king, the greatest president, whichever president you liked. You're now getting a phone call from much greater than him, from Hashem. And this is the idea of the merge. The giving of the Torah was a merge between the heavens and the earth, the ability to unite the physical, the mundane, and ultimately we're going to make the world a better place so Mashiach can come very soon, immediately. Amen.